Welcome to The Queen's Lair, a lifestyle podcast. Get inspired by our latest tips and information about small business, entrepreneurship, natural hair, travel, food, and even relationships. Stay tuned for another great episode. I am your host, Renee Patrice. I know that we love our celebrities and our public figures, but sometimes we put them on a pedestal to rock star status to the point that it leads to deadly outcomes. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into my podcast once again. Man, it has been a really rough weekend. I just wanted to come really quickly and talk about the Astroworld Festival in Houston over the weekend that took place on Friday night. It's very sad how several people lost their life at this festival. Very quickly, there was over 50,000 people that attended the festival, and there was a pushing, or as they call it, a surging, when people are pushing to get towards the front of a stage, and people were crushed, and I believe 8 people lost their lives. I'm going to read this quick statement, and then I'm just going to speak on a couple of things that I think should be said. Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner confirmed on Saturday that 8 people had died, including a 14-year-old during a performance by rapper Travis Scott on Friday at the Astroworld Music Festival in Houston, Texas. A total of 25 people were transferred to local hospitals from the venue, and 13 remain hospitalized, including 5 people who are under the age of 18. Scores of others were injured in the event, according to ABC 13. An investigation into the incident is ongoing, according to police reports. This is really sad to me because this did not have to this just didn't have to happen. I don't know all the particulars of as far as like how much security was there or, all that sort of stuff. I know that I've seen a few clips of videos of people trying to get to one of the cameramen on stage to tell them, for him to say something, to stop the show because there's somebody who's on the ground and they're not breathing. And it's just a whole lot of different things. I've seen Travis Scott on his own social media just devastated and, making it clear that they are working with authorities to make sure this gets figured out. And that is so tough to have something like this happen. I think one of the issues, aside from, people are like, oh, they don't know how to act because everybody hasn't been outside. No, I don't really think that's what it is. I think a lot of times, I'm not saying that's not part of it, but I think a lot of times is that people get so hype over celebrities. The celebrity fandom is insane sometimes. We've all seen those concerts from back in the day. Well, back in my day when, Michael Jackson or the Jackson 5 or whatever, people would pass out at concerts. I mean, it was just insane. People had no type of control at all. And we build these folks up to this absolutely unattainable God status, I think is what I'll call it, that literally people are losing their breath and going into cardiac arrest at a concert because they're so obsessed with that person who's on stage. They're so obsessed with that actor or actress that they're running across the street, risking and dodging cars to, all this sort of stuff. And listen, I have my share of musical artists and actors, actresses, and everything, and, public figures that I absolutely love and admire. But I will never get to the point where I will be on some, these people are gods. They're regular people like everybody else. It's just that when they get up in the morning to go to work, they get up in the morning to go make music. They get up in the morning to, go act in a movie. But they're regular people. They're still human beings. So people are going crazy. I know that Travis Scott is a huge artist, huge. And this is a major concert because I think the one last year, I think there was supposed to be an Astroworld festival last year, and there wasn't, obviously, because of the pandemic. So this is, the first one since the pandemic is starting to, wind down. But a lot of that has to do putting these artists on this rock star status to the point that we don't even care about our fellow man. 50,000 people pushing and pulling and pushing and pulling and surging to the front of a stage that you crush people, and it's sending people into cardiac arrest. Young people, because the majority of the people who passed away were like under the age of 25. These are people who are just starting out their lives. And it's sad. 8 families they sent their young folks to this concert. I saw some footage of people with a little kid on their shoulders. That kid couldn't have been 5. Why would you bring a young child like that out to an event? And they were in the middle of folks. That if there was to be a stampede, God forbid, or if there was to be like what happened on Friday, you wouldn't hardly be able to help anybody. When you see people doing stuff like that at concerts, they're pushing or whatever like that, or even if you see somebody trip or fall or whatever in the crowd, help them up. Because all it takes is for one stupid situation, which is exactly what happened on Friday night. And to be honest, it really could have been much worse. So again, I'm not going to put speculation on who is at fault and all that sort of stuff. The investigation is going to be ongoing, so I'm sure we're going to get more facts as time goes on. But in these type of concert situations, you have to be smart. Stop showing up to these concerts drunk. Stop showing up to these concerts high. Because y'all think that's cool. It's not. Because then all of your inhibitions are down. All of your response time is down. All that sort of stuff. And it makes it much harder when things like this happen to stop it. Because you got a whole bunch of people up in there who are high. You got a whole bunch of people up in there who are drunk. And then you can't look out for each other properly. We gotta do better with this sort of thing. This should have been a great concert. Travis is a major artist, This should have been a great concert. Everybody should have left with some great memories, all that sort of stuff, because this is a major concert coming out of the pandemic. You know what I mean? And I know they had to cancel the one last year, so this was a big deal. And now it's got this, this tainting all over it. I saw Travis on his social media. He is devastated. And he's a real person. He got kids. He got a lady. He has a home. He got family. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got to live too. So like I said, I'm not pointing the finger and blaming anybody. It's unfortunate, with these type of situations, that when you are a public figure and your name gets tied to things, this comes with the territory with that. Like I said, authorities are going to, do their due diligence to figure out exactly, where things went wrong. But one thing that I have to say about concert goers, anything like this, a Lollapalooza or, Coachella, any of these things, you have to be smart when you attend these events. And if there's a whole bunch of people that want to get high and drunk, that is not the way. Because right there is where the beginning of problems really stem. Because now you're inebriated, now you're under the influence, now your response time is slower, now everything is lowered. And I know people will listen to this and be like, well, that's just what they do. You know what I'm saying? But listen, look at this situation. Stuff like this keeps on happening. And now they're talking about there was somebody crazy in the crowd that was injecting people with a needle. And I'm like, this is not good. We got to do better. As human beings, we got to look out for each other. You see something going left, you go right. Because a lot of these things, we're putting ourselves into said situations. And maybe this is going to be a cap on events. Because 50,000 people is a lot of people. Just in open field type of thing. That's a lot of people. And I don't care how much security you have. If 50,000 people start stampeding, there's really not that much you can do at all. So my deepest condolences to those 8 families that are going to go through this horrific thing. Deepest condolences to them. And also, the surrounding people involved, even people that attended, that witnessed a lot of this stuff. That's going to last with them for a long time as well. So I don't know. This is a very tough situation to see happen. I'm hoping that there will be some peace from this. I'm hoping that authorities and promoters and, the concert folks or whatever, and artists as well, will maybe change up the way that they do things, to make it as safe as possible for concert goers. And the concert goers, like I said, you got to be smart. Sometimes, this is not the time to show up inebriated. This is not the time to show up under the influence, because things like this tend to happen, So I hope that people hear this, and maybe you just, take a piece of this that works for you, But again, my heart goes out to those 8 families, because this is definitely a tough situation. But we have to start looking out for each other way better than we have been. And I think if we start doing that, we'll see less of these type of situations, because to have 50,000 people trying to push their way to the front of a stage is such a dangerous situation. And you're not taking into consideration safety protocols around you. So we gotta start being more smart on how we deal with stuff. But man, I guess we'll be hearing more about this. I'm sure there'll be stuff on the news today, and I'll be keeping an eye on this stuff and, just following the story like everybody else on social media. But again, let's start looking out for each other a little bit more, so that we don't have more situations like this. All right, you guys, I'll talk to you next week. Bye.